MCP is everybody's favorite term. I think every uncle in the family would even know what MCP means at this point in time, because it's almost like, oh, somebody released MCP. And then you open Twitter and they say, oh, this tool released an MCP. And then suddenly you open LinkedIn and it says, oh, like you use Slack MCP, Notion MCP. And then you're flooded with a lot of MCPs from a working perspective, right? And when someone asks, hey, what is a model context protocol? It seems so wordy. It seems like, oh, this is like a super definition and I don't know exactly what it does. But to take a step back and actually simplify what an MCP is in a Claude's ecosystem, imagine how many times we as product builders / even developers talk within our team to say, hey, I want to use this tool's data. And what's the best way to integrate that into our system? What's the best way to get that data into our system? And for some reason, we've always, in the yesteryear SaaS or product world, we've always lied on APIs. Like everybody's darling term was API until MCPs came and created an entire different market. But APIs were the way that one tool can actually talk to another tool's data. Think of the same thing in a Claude Code context, where your Claude Code actually wants to use the data from a bunch of other tools that you're connecting. And MCPs are nothing but bridges that lets your Claude actually talk to those bunch of tools. And in this case, the tools can be Slack, your Notion, or your GitHub, or any ABC app that today says that they've released an MCP setup for Claude Code or any other agent to work on. So how this happens is that, think of it like a client and a server system. For most of us working in tech, we understand that client is the front end and server is the back end. The back end is where your data gets stored. Back end is where the heart of the entire system is, because that's the place where your data gets stored. And your front end is this nice, beautiful interface that is actually interacting to get that data from the back end. So in our case, the MCP's case, the client is your Claude. So your Claude, the beautiful Claude setup that you see within your visual code or within your Claude desktop app, that becomes the client. And any tool that you want to access the data for, which is a Slack or your Notion or your Figma, those are basically the backend